I'm going to make a drawing using colored pencils. So this is a painting by Raphael, the Renaissance master. And first let's start with a sort of base layer. So I sketch her face in one color. To start with, and if you feel a bit uncomfortable doing that straight away without any help, you can also trace first with gray tracing paper that you make yourself, for example. And try to get the proportions more or less right. Her hairdo, it's quite nicely done. The forms. And now I place some accentuations. So first I loosely sketched all of her face, and now I'll just add darker areas, accentuations, so it gets more character that way. And very loosely I add some tonal values, but I want to leave space, so to speak, for later tonal values by other colors. So I keep this drawing more or less light. Light with a light touch. I almost forgot this here, which is very typical detail, her hair there, which is very dark. And it separates the left side of her face from the air, I think, nicely. Adding some details, and I will soon start with other colors. And let's add some green. Green is a nice color as well. I think I want some green in the shadows because I really like the effect of reddish colors over green, so just add green all over her skin. Here and there, but everywhere. And with this drawing technique I like to go all over the place with green, so when I add green to the skin I also like to add green in her hairdo. And maybe a little bit in the back as well. So it gives some unity to the drawing as a whole, to add some of the color, even if it's just a little bit at places where the color is not very dominant or very visible, but it adds some unity to the drawing to do that. So if I use green in her face, I like to use green in other areas as well, but perhaps less visible or very lightly. And I've been waiting actually to use red, so now I'm going to use this pencil. Starting with her mouth, which is perhaps the most typical area where to use red tones, and her cheeks. But in this case I want to go all over the place as well. So I add a little bit of red here and there. All over her face actually. And I like the combination of greenish coloring and reddish colors. And I try to be careful not to add too much graphite in darker areas, so it doesn't get to the point that I cannot add anything more. So I try to make it darker and accentuate these darker areas here, but I try to avoid making them so thick with this graphite or colored pencil graphite that it just doesn't hold new colors anymore. So I try to avoid that for now anyway. And it needs some yellowish. In oil, if I had all my oil paint colors, I would add yellow ochre, but there is no yellow ochre, so there's a combination of this pencil which is brown and yellow. For the hairs I need that. And I have the tendency now to avoid using this brown too much in her face, because I really like the green and red combination of colors. So as I said before, I like to use a certain color all over the place, but I think I like that when it's about, you know, when you have a very clear color, let's say a primary or a secondary color like red or green. Green is secondary, of course, or blue. Then I would like to go all over the place, but brown is sort of tertiary, or what's the word, a mixed color. So I'm a bit afraid if I use it too much that I take away too much of the character of this technique, of this approach, in which I use clearly primary colors to go all over the place. And I feel that using brown too much may take away a little bit of the effect that it gives otherwise. So the effect of seeing colors go from here to there. So now I'm using blue, and I like to use that as well throughout the whole drawing. So you get this effect that, you know, in a TV screen you have primary colors which create all the colors, and that cannot be achieved totally with this technique, but I like that effect of using a limited set of colors, bright colors, and creating an image that way with a certain richness in coloring. And I like to use this blue in the lighted areas more. And it's nice to use it for the air in the back. I am avoiding a too dominant direction in my hatchings, as you can see. So when a certain direction becomes too dominant, I put another direction on top of it, so it breaks that a little bit, that effect. And now I'm wondering, should I accentuate, put more darker tonal values in this drawing, or leave it very light? There are some colors that I haven't used yet. Shall I use them all, or one can limit also the amount of colors that one uses? So I like these green colors, this blue, but I want to avoid this brown, and I don't like black. I'm not sure about orange, don't really like that, or pink. I try to avoid, you know, a skin color pink or something. I like to suggest that by using these colors more. So I think I've taken these out of my collection of, my very small collection of colors. And I think I just use these, and I can use blue and purple for the darker tones. I haven't used this blue yet. And instead of going all over this drawing and making it all very dark, I mean, I could add very dark accentuation here, but I like the lighter touch of this. So what I do to give this drawing some accentuation is that I, you know, for the overall composition, I want to accentuate certain areas in her hair, so her face lights up a bit. And I try not to put too much dark colors in the rest of her face. I like the light touch of it, so I try to preserve that. Trying to define her hairdo more or less. I think that's a nice element. I do not have the tendency now to go all over the drawing with this blue, because I already have added blue, so that effect is there in places. Anyway, I think this needs a nice accentuation here under dark red. and you can see here it needed a little accentuation, and I had this red pencil and I just added this, and I think this makes it come alive a bit here. So I'm just using this pencil now to add some adjustments to her hair, and by doing that I try to sneak in some reddish accentuations, which makes the drawing come alive a bit more in a subtle way. I think it gives it a bit more energy. It's not exactly the same, and I could work very hard to get this exactly like this example, but I made this drawing in a very loose way, so I like to keep certain things with a light touch in a poetic way. A poetic touch. And I think I'm reaching the point that when I go on, I might end up losing some of the things that I like at this moment in this drawing. So at a certain moment you notice that you start to lose something which is central, which is relevant to the drawing, and I'm at the point that I think I should quit now. I just leave it as this. I like it as it is now. I wasn't after a photographic reproduction of the painting in pencil. I like this as a quick sketch and with a light touch. So this is it. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you.